Okie dokie. So this build is called Perfection. All in one, 16 Bard, 3 Druid, 1 Favorite Soul, DPS tank, CC heal. Interesting. Not be good. That's what I thought it was, I swear. Alright, sounds good. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. So, in the notes, we have no information. So I'm going in blind. This is a charisma-based character. Constitution, charisma, all in charisma. Sounds good. It's feat selection. This feat thing is like very short. It's very shallow. Spell focus illusion. It's an Azamar. I forgot to notice that. It's a chaotic neutral Azamar, which is kind of neat because you're a druid. You got to be chaotic neutral. Completionist is a feat on here. We got two-handed fighting, bear form. I don't know if this character works in the bear form, but we'll see. Quicken spell, force of personality, two-handed fighting. So pretty straightforward feats. Doesn't take improved crit. So it's not a crit-focused build, which is a bit strange. Improved critical is a pretty good thing to have as a melee, but we'll find out. Got heightened spell, though, so it's going to heighten whatever spells it casts. I don't know which spells we're heightening, but I am curious. We got emboldened spell. We got perfect two-handed fighting. So it's clearly on melee. You got the extra DCs here from wizards. You got DCs from completionist, DCs from wizard, and illusion focus. Elusive target, deific warding, greater spell focus illusion, and our Scion of Arborea. So this character is probably focused on illusion spell power. There's some melee in here, but again, no improved crit. Taken on this character, no overwhelming crit. So you got to make sure you have a keen weapon. Now granted, keen weapons are pretty common, so it's not that big of a deal. And then of course, instead of taking the perfect two weapon, it's taking elusive target. So I'm assuming there's a double strike cap going on somewhere in here. Now as you look to the enhancement tree, this is a War Chanter that's got all of the buffs. Also takes Spinning Ice. I'm not a fan of Spinning Ice, but it does work for some people. Also going up to Azamar, grabbing Protector and Quick Draw, which is nice. Having Fadark Illusionist over here. You got the War Chanter for a lot of like the melee stats. You get the you get Keen, so you don't really need to worry about the critical threat range, but you don't have the multiplier built in on this character, or threat range or multiplier technically on this character. Out of the Druid tree, this picks up, you got the Favored Soul, which gives you the Divine Might. You've got the Nature's Protector, which is going to give you the extra defensive stance for 20 PRR and MRR, and counts as being in a defensive stance. You've got the extra 5% life from Falconry, and 5% life from the Protector stance here of Azamar, so in theory this should be a reasonably tanky build, but we'll find out. And of course, this character is using Charisma to hit and damage, also has Illusory Weapon to make sure you never break your weapons. Cool. And then the Fighting Spirit, which grants people a aura that gives charisma based on, or temporary hit points based on your charisma. Cool. So it's like a bard, got some buffs, got a little bit of crowd control in terms of Fadark Illusionist. I assume this character is not taking Epic Defensive Fighting, which really handicaps Fadark Illusionist, but we'll find out. We can check the stances, actually. Stance. This character is using Epic Defensive Fighting, so it's got almost 0 range on your color spray, so that'll be an interesting choice, because this character also doesn't take Dire Charge, so it's just Freezing Ice and the other freeze attack. Depends on where your strike through ends up landing, I guess. Enchanted Weapons, sure. Brace seems fine. Primal, Ancient Power for the extra hit chance, all of that seems fine. Not in bear form, using the Protector Bond, using the Ascendant Bond, using Divine Might, and apparently using Primal Scream, which is kind of exciting. Moving into Epic Destinies, there's going to be a Fury of the Wild build. So it's Fury of the Wild build, but it's missing 1 crit multi, which is one of those things that always gets you. When you don't have crit multi, you always feel sad when you don't have the ability to pick that up, because this ability up here guarantees your next crit or your next attack is a critical hit. However, you can get around that. This character also only has +1 critical multiplier on a roll of 19 or 20. So basically what this means is that your character won't have like those earth-shattering, like 30, or not 30, but like 120,000 point crits. But that's okay. You don't need those types of numbers oftentimes. This character grabs Epic Illusion DCs here. Primal Hymn. This is a very basic Fury of the Wild trade. That's why I'm not really talking about it. Takes Sense Weakness, Overwhelming Force, Devastating Blow, Fury Eternal. Like all this stuff is very, very straightforward. And then of course you got the Primal Scream for the extra stats. And then the twists. You got the extra Illusion Focus. You got the Dance of Flowers. You have the Legendary Dreadnought Tactics. So extra tactics DCs, extra damage per hit, an action boost here that this character doesn't have. I'm assuming it's because you don't get any action boosts out of the actual trees. So this character is working off of action boost haste to proc prowess, I assume, because I didn't see... Oh, there's also move speed action boost for prowess. You got 2 action boosts. You don't take extra action boosts. This character has only 12, which is a total of, 120 seconds of prowess per rest, which is not bad, but that's a limitation of the character for sure. And then, of course, marshal him up here. Cool. Move into equipment. And I want to look over the abilities at the same time. So this character has 112 charisma, focusing all in on charisma as much as possible. That means the DC on the freeze is going to be extremely high because it scales off of charisma, and then also your charisma scales your insightful stats as well. This character has reverberation. It's got sanctified fervor 4-piece, and then it's got reverberation 3-piece, so it's got the extra sonic spell power, which is nice, and it was the melee attack. You don't need sonic spell power on this character, but it is a thing that exists. And this character goes Long Shadow. Oh, Long Shadow gives charisma? I didn't know that. With a 2-piece for 10 melee power and +1 charisma. So that's actually a really good choice for that other build. The Panda's Year build, that's actually a great choice. Is 2-piece, 1 charisma, 1 melee power from Long Shadow. Because it gives 10 melee power if you have a rare. And then also the charisma, which is nice. Colorless Magic is just charisma. Embraced by Light is just charisma because it fits with this set here. So it's a lot of defensive stats. That seems fine. Plus you have 88 Constitution. Because of... important note, there's a Reaper tree in here to think about. This Reaper tree is the 125 Reaper point Reaper tree. You may not have this many points in your Reaper tree, so just keep that in mind. Also, this character, it looks like, is going to be using the Reaper Strike, which is why it has all of these. Reaper Strike, pretty much 100% uptime thanks to this, so that you can almost consider that this is 30% extra double strike on this character build. So if you see it in here, it's missing 30%, that's because it's got the 30%. As far as the saving throws are concerned, I'm assuming this looks... I'm just looking at the stats first before we actually look at the items. But all the saves seem pretty good. And I believe you do have saves on here already somewhere. Epic saves. Oh, that's Deep Snows. You probably have an augment in here. Yes, you do have an augment of resistance. That sounds good. I don't think you need anything with skills. But it has Intimidate 150, which is very interesting. The character has the ability to intimidate people because you are in fact running what? You've got a Diamond of Intimidate on here. You have the Nocturne Ring, which gives you Insightful Intimidate as well. And the Stolen Signet of Irwanir for the Exceptional Intimidate. So this character is 150. So you can intimidate basically anything. This is very cool. Whether this is going to live or die to a raid tank, or to a raid boss, I don't know. We're about to find out. Defensive breakdowns. 4,347 hit points. Ooh, this is in Reaper mode. But still, that's a good amount. And in defensively, also running 312 physical resistance rating. This is about as tanky as my tank that I run normally, so that's not too bad. Plus, it's got 12% dodge cap, and then also different types of evasion bonuses. It has displacement, not 100%, but 50%, of course. No incorporeality on this character, which is kind of tough. But damn, that's pretty sweet, actually. This is a lot of defensive stats. You got the fortification from the Nocturne Ring, and it's got the insight as well, so you have the extra aggro. And that's pretty much all you have for aggro or even defensive stats. There's a 4-piece Winter, not a 5-piece for extra threat generation. And of course it runs with Basmarath for the extra hit chance and the extra damage. As far as the offensive stats, you've got accuracy here, plus you've got stunning in there as well. You get the deadly here. I believe there's no quality accuracy or quality deadly. Nope, but you have the Insightful, which is fine. Plus, Blood Rage Chrism is a great effect. If you've never used this before, it has a stacking bonus, the 30 Profane physical and magical resistance, which is really good, as well as the Profane Double Strike. So offensively, this character is rolling around with 193 melee power, and that's with everything out of the Reaper tree, which is a little low for a character like this. You also don't have access to prowess. Usually with a character, you would activate an action boost to get 10 seconds of prowess, and you would also go with something like using your Unbridled Fury at the same time. And then that way you've got all the extra hits coming through with the prowess, with the extra damage. This character doesn't do that, so it will be a little bit limited on damage. However, its double strike is 74%. I think that with the double strike at 74, given that this doesn't have the actual attack inside there, you have an alternate weapon. Okay, yeah. If you have the ability to have 2 sentient jewels for this character, that could probably work. You could probably drop some of the double strike that's here, since your character would be over 100% with your Reaper ability, and you can use that a lot, and it lasts a long time. You could probably drop a little bit of double strike if you wanted somewhere. So, for example, you could probably change your martial past life if you wanted to grab extra tactics DCs. You could change your past life off of Aasimar Scourge if you wanted, especially if this character had access to it. If you had the past life. I mean, I don't know if you're willing to grind it out. Oh, you have the Razorclaw Shifter past life. Oh, well, there you go. So what you could do is you could even shift away from that. So take your take the past life and shift this into like the Razorclaw right there. Oh, that's the passive. Oh, it's just. Oh no, that's the stance. Yeah. Then the Aasimar Scourge is no longer active, so you can use the this extra attack. So that way you want to get as close to 70% as possible. So instead you can use the Razorclaw Shifter to get attack and damage with melee weapons, which is a little bit better with this character. This is a very minor optimization, by the way. It's not big. Tactical bonuses. Stun is 61, so your character is probably going to be able to dire charge. Oh, you don't dire charge, you just freeze. So your freezes are probably going to land pretty well, especially with all these other stats. Oh, you're usually in Deep Gnome? Oh yeah, for the +3 illusion DCs. What are your illusion DCs? This character has 3,500 spell points because of all of the extra charisma, plus you get extra mana. I like that taking Favorite Soul gives you 610 extra spell points and 510 for your charisma, which is not too bad, plus the Reaper Arcanum. You have no items on here that increase spell points, and you have 3,500 as a bard. Damn, I'm jealous. Anyway. Spell power doesn't matter. What matters is your spell tool DCs, and your illusion is 43. So 43 illusion plus all of your extra charisma. It's probably pretty close, if I'm being honest. On your color spray. I don't know if you need heighten for color spray. Is one of the things. I'm assuming you took heighten because you wanted the color spray to be heightened, but your maximum cast level is 6 as a bard, or like your maximum spell level is 6. And the spell level for color spray, is 7. So I don't think heighten would even work on color spray anyway. Is it +5? Then that means the DC on it is wrong. So that's my mistake. I didn't know that the DC was incorrect in the game. And then of course the character has 163 hit chance, which it feels like it would be off. What's missing in here? Oh, inactive is Ancient Power, apparently. Which it should be active, and apparently the Razorclaw Shifter is not there. But still, I feel like that is a little bit off, like it should be higher than that. But even still, that's not too bad. And you have the damage bonus here. So you're going to be critically striking pretty often. But, again, the one sad thing is you can't get an extra crit multi. There's no more crit multi to get in this build. You have a little bit of 1920 crit multi, because you get it from War Chanter and you get it from Fury of the Wild. But that regular crit multi is where you're going to be lacking. Maybe some bard stuff, but also felt like it was low. I mean, with this type of character, it's a little tough to fit in extra points. You don't have quality, which is an effect that is difficult to fit with also all of the items that you're using, because there's no quality charisma or quality accuracy charisma artifact. Now, that being said, if you wanted, you could replace the chains with something that would do that. I mean, the chains gives you stunning, sheltering, accuracy, and quality charisma. So instead of this, there's obviously a non-crafted belt. The where is it? Belt of Sure Strikes, because the Belt of Sure Strikes gives the magical sheltering that you want. It gives the Insightful Seeker that you don't have, and it also grants you the quality accuracy that you don't have. But then you don't have any accuracy fit into your build, so do you replace something else? If you said, okay, well, maybe you put the 5 ring somewhere else, or another Slave Lord's item, where does it go? And the only other option is to replace the Blood Rage Chrism, which you don't want to do, because this gives 30 PRR and MRR and 10 Profane bonus to Double Strike. So you could take this item and essentially move it up here and get rid of the Blood Rage Chrism entirely. I think the Double Strike doesn't matter, but this item is basically giving you 30 PRR and MRR, and you'd want to use that. So if I was to make an alternative set to this build that would be very similar but give you slightly higher stats, I would do something like so. So this would be alternate non-tank set. So this is if you're not tanking. Also, I love the way I spelt that. That's perfect. And you basically take your chains and you move it up here. So this would become a 5-ring, legendary 5-ring. You would not need the sheltering because you already get the physical sheltering from everywhere else, and you don't need the false life. So in theory, you could take another statistic like dexterity to increase your reflex saves if you wanted, or you could take wizardry, but you don't really need the mana, so you'd probably take dexterity. Here, you still take the accuracy as your extra. I don't even know. What did you take as your extra? Stunning 20. Did you not have stunning in this build? You don't have stunning in this build. That's astounding. Yeah, so then you take the stunning 20, and then you grab the quality charisma here, which you want on this build, and then you replace this. Oh yeah, the topaz of illusion. Plot is green. Then you put in the topaz of illusion focus. 2. There you go. And then you replace this with the belt of sure strikes. This gives you 9 more magical sheltering. So basically, you're still missing out on some defensive stats. But it also gives you Insightful Seeker, which I think you might have already had. No, you just had regular Seeker. So this gives you Insightful Seeker, which you did not have. Quality Combat Mastery, which you didn't have. Quality Accuracy, which you didn't have. And Magical Sheltering 54. So you lose a little bit of physical and magical sheltering here. Obviously, you lose 30 physical and 21 magical. But then on the upside, you manage to pick up the Quality Combat Mastery 5, so 5 extra stunning, 8 more accuracy, and then you have the Insightful Seeker. The Seeker, of course, is going to be powerful since you're multiplying everything through crits. So having the extra Seeker on here, where's Seeker? I don't even know where Seeker's on this thing. Probably under the weapon, maybe? Oh, critical attack and critical damage is where the Seeker goes, probably. Where Seeker goes in here. But anyway, gives you a little bit more hit chance. And then this would also grant you, as I said, a little bit of extra DCs. So your stun DC is now 66. So it's just slightly higher from the Belt of Sure Strikes. Again, this is not the best option, but this is technically another option if you wanted to have something as like a swap. And it's an easy swap too. The problem is you'd have to craft a 5 rings and also craft the other one. So you could swap between the 2 sets. You could be like, okay, I'm this, and then I go like this. And then you've also got the tail set up as well, which, you know, same thing. And there's the tail setup that has the prowess for doing like the single target damage, that sort of thing. Tail is basically, the problem with this though, is that I would do this the other way around. Baz is what you want to be using when you're using Adrenaline, so you want the prowess on here. And tail is what you want to be using 99% of the time when you're not using your Adrenaline charges. You'd swap the Baz, prowess, Adrenaline, hit somebody, swap back to tail. So I feel like these filigrees are reversed. So I would just swap these 2 weapons entirely. Yeah, it's really hard to come up with optimizations for this build. Will the build work? I have no idea. You've got helplessness damage on here. You've got extra damage scaling. You're missing fortification bypass because your character doesn't have the feat precision, which is going to make it pretty hard. You can rely on other people for that for the most part, but it means that like Reapers are going to be slow fights for this character, even though you can make them helpless. So like this character basically just gets stumped by a Doom Reaper, where you just kind of start hitting it, and you will help, and you will eventually kill it, but you're not going to do as much damage as you'd like. That being said, this character hits about twice as hard as my current Bard build, and does most of the same buffs, although you're unfortunately not in Fate Singer, so you're missing a few of them. Yeah, for boss raids, the DCs aren't as high. Yeah, possibly. It's important to note that this character also would be able to freeze the beetles in the new raid, which is a big deal. Also, Ciervo Pitchy, welcome to Stream Stream. Hope you have a fantastic day today. Picking up these build reviews. But yeah, so overall, again, looks pretty good. I wish I could make some adjustments, but this is a really fine-tuned build. The only thing I would say is I personally very much don't like using Spinning Ice and North Wind for a couple reasons. The main reason being that simply I find that these 2 effects are just not, like, North Wind is unpredictable and you never know when it's actually going to happen. And same thing with Spinning Ice. It's not too bad, but you have to spend these 9 points to get it. Whereas instead of spending these 9 points here, you can take an extra +1 to hit for you and all your friends out of the tree here. You can also grab an extra 6% double strike for you and all of your friends, which is kind of a big deal. So you take these points out, and then also means you don't have to spend 45 points in the tree, because then up here you're only spending 11. So I personally don't like North Wind and Spinning Ice, especially since you have 190% double strike. You can freeze a lot of monsters. But again, it's entirely up to you if you think that's good. I would just swap this out. So I would do this tree a little bit different. So I would do Con. Grab this here, this, grab the freeze, fill up that, fill up this, grab the charisma, extra defense, grab the charisma, extra defense. You had armor, right? You could cast while wearing armor. You can use the arcade shield to give people extra defense, do one of these, do the expeditious chant, and do this. And you have 41 points spent in the tree. And as I said, I don't use this on my bard. I'd never feel like it's actually necessary. And then this gives you 4 points back. So if you wanted, you could grab an extra point of charisma if you want. Although you're not that close on charisma. You need like extra points for more charisma. Because you have 4 points. If you could buy 2 charisma easily, that'd be pretty nice. But you can't. You could also pick up saves. You could literally grab plus full raw saves, grab saves here if you want while in your defensive stance. You grab extra melee and range power if you want. Right here. To pick up an extra point of melee power. That one's not too bad if you want. Plus it's got physical magical resistance rating, so it makes you a little bit tankier on your character overall. I mean, heck, you could even do like very minor optimizations. Like take that. If you can find a way to get an extra point of charisma somehow into the build, you know, slot that one in there. I'm assuming you already had the profane or the exceptional bonus. Oh, no, it doesn't have it in here. Yeah, you could take 1 extra point of charisma in here. You have 1 extra stat, and then like +1 to a save. And then you should be able to use the Diamond of Vitality, Topaz of Swiftness. Oh, you do have the Globe of True Imperial Blood. Okay, it is in there. Never mind. But yeah. The Globe. You already have all the hit and damage here. This is pretty good. You could even grab some of the defensive stuff, grab the saves. I'm trying to think of anything else that would be like valuable here that you would immediately notice the impact of that you didn't take. Hell, you could just pick up more health if you want. Just grab 15 more health onto your character if you want to be more defensive. Again, you could grab more magic resistance rating, natural armor, grab bonus to saves. I mean, even something as simple as like +3 bonus to saves is not too bad, considering your saves aren't currently like no fail on reflex, especially. So you've got that as an option. It's tough, but this is how I would definitely do the War Chanter tree. You don't need to take these 2 points. Having played it and experienced it, I don't find it's the most important thing. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, other than that, I mean, the thing about Fury for this character build is Fury is like really good for this character build. However, Fury, I think, in my opinion, it's really good, but this is a character that benefits so heavily from playing in Fatesinger because you do want Turn of the Tide. You can get the extra hit chance from this tree. So just hypothetically, just bear with me. Imagine for a moment that you're going to play this character in Fatesinger instead of the other way around. Look at what you get to pick up instead. Yeah, I do want to reset this tree. I'm so sorry, Twists. But by playing in Fatesinger instead, you grab the Charisma here. You don't pick up skills because skills are for idiots. Although you could use the skills on yourself if you wanted because you get the extra stats from... you get the extra stats on your Intimidate if you want more Intimidate. But you'd get access to Bound Fate on your character and Grim Fate that you can cast on yourself. I would not recommend taking the extra physical magical resistance rating, but you get the Martial Hymn. You get the bonus to all your saving throws if you want, or you can even just straight raw pick up more Charisma, like so. You get to pick up a Meta Magic feat for free, which is convenient because you can pick up Extend if you want, or just grab the extra Blade Song for the crit multi and the attack speed on this character. You pick up Turn of the Tide, then you get an extra feat up here. Again, you can take Quicken or Embolden. I believe you already took Embolden. Yeah, you took Embolden already, and you have Quicken spell, but you could drop one of these things because you automatically get it for free, which can be convenient, or you just go straight in on Charisma, grabbing an extra 6 points of Charisma, bringing you up to 118 instead. And then instead of this, you would just twist in the other effect from Fury of the Wild. So instead of twisting in Martial Hymn, you twist in Sense Weakness. And then this path around, you give yourself a little bit more hit chance. Plus you have the extra Turn of the Tide. So if I go Activate Destiny here and do this, instead you take Sense Weakness. Now you unfortunately don't get to be affected by Primal Scream, so you do have to turn off Primal Scream in your buffs. In the boofs. Where are you, Primal Scream? Because you won't have this anymore. Oh, it was never in the buffs. But instead of that, now you get to walk around with even more happily Reckless Chant, because you didn't have that before. No, and just Turn the Tide, even an option here? Guess not. Dance? Maybe it's in here. There it is. Put that in there. Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to calculate it with the Turn the Tide. Somehow you have one more charisma than I didn't expect, and I don't know where this comes from. But anyway, by doing that, like I said, you lose a little bit of hit points because you don't get the hit points base out of the tree. But now you can apply yourself the ability, Grim Fate. This is basically, you get rid of Baz, and you always go on Tail instead. You would literally always use Tail, because you wouldn't need to swap for the extra crit multi thing. Your character has a little bit more... I think these are about the same. They might have gone down by a bit, but I don't think by that much. And the big benefit is you'd gain even more because of all that charisma. You gain extra temporary HPs, your stunning ability is higher, and of course your hit chance is higher. Now you're up to 180. So, again, something to think about. And then you can press that one button, which gives you 40% extra damage and more charisma, which increases your stats by an even larger margin. And if you've never played around with it, you might find it fun. And especially with a bard character like this, I would imagine that this would work pretty well for your character. And again, you would go always tail on this character at that point. You would swap into the build that is always tail. And you would use this instead. Because then with your Tale of Sulamades, you're rocking 167 with your old build, and the one that I set up for you a little higher. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of all I see here. It's an interesting build. It definitely crowd controls. Does it tank? I mean, it's got a two-handed weapon, but you have the Intimidate for it, so it's really hard to say whether it's like the best tank in the world or not. But again, the physical resistance rating doesn't lie, and the hit points, you can take a hit. A couple problems that come up. Actually, you have a lot of healing amp too. I was about to say you don't have that much healing amp, but you do actually have a lot of healing amplification. If you do decide to be tanky, obviously you need to think about Meld into Darkness. Meld is so useful so that any character who's not the most tankiest can also just pretend for a short period of time. And then of course you have so much double strike here. You can continue to drop double strike. Because you just don't need all of this. I mean, even at this point, you could straight up drop the Family's Blessing. Instead of the Insightful Armor Penetration, use like the real Armor Penetration. No, not real Armor Penetration, but use the, just with the Family Recruit Sigil. Give you 33 Armor Penetration if you wanted. But yeah, anyway, something to think about. I hope this review has been helpful for you. I've looked at a bunch of these things. This does seem interesting. The problem is it's hard to really screw around with any of the other trees because they fit really well with what you're doing. And your leveling path, I don't really have any complaints here. It's a leveling path. Good levels. It has good stats. Oh, and also the benefit of Fatesinger is you pick up extra DCs. So your color spray is 4 DCs higher. So that's kind of cool. Oh, right. That's where the math is wrong. Right. Fatesinger. Okay, so if you... Hold on. So that's why you go to my set, the non-tank set. You get rid of this Baz, because Baz sucks. And instead you go to Falchions. You grab Tale of Sulamades here, because that's just what you want. Tale of Sulamades. And then, of course, with my set that I have set up here, and all these extra stats, then you would go here and drop the points you took in the Fey Dark Illusionist for the extra Reality Bulwark. Grab the extra point of Charisma, because this brings you up to 120. And why does it do that? Because I forgot, Fatesinger gives you 7 Charisma, 6 here, and then 1 for the core. Glitter of Fame, +1 to all attributes. You're at 120 Charisma now. The DC on your color spray is like infinity. So if I just grab like a spell, like a bard spell, DC 90 on enchantment, damn. Because everything's heightened, I guess. Color spray is an enchantment spell? Isn't that supposed to be an illusion spell? Do you even have an illusion spell on here? Hypnotic Pattern? DC 100 apparently? I don't know. But yeah. Here we go. I hope this was helpful. If not, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I'm going to return this to you. Right now. Thanks for showing me that, by the way. That's a really cool build. I think it could be a lot of fun. I love Bard, honestly, and the reason why I like the Fatesinger version of that even more is you get so many extra stats to buff people with. Just think about it. Just by going into Fatesinger, you're automatically buffing everybody by an extra... Like, the changes that I made to your character is +3 to hit and damage for everyone that you are standing next to, and now you also have Grim Fate, and you also, instead of having... Like, you lose the crowd control of being able to click a guy and turn him off with the knockdown, which means that you... Because you can't freeze, like, Wraiths and stuff, but you can freeze... a lot of the other monsters. So, like I said, you lose like Incorporeal basically as a offense option. But if you're going to a quest with a bunch of Incorporeal characters, you can just click You just swap it back. You just go from Fatesinger. You just go, okay, well now I'm in Fury of the Wild. You click that and you swap the other thing over, and that's it. So it's not too bad.